What was that? Okay, awesome. In the mood to download some truth today. Welcome. We are talking about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and how there's so many parallels with yogic teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by God himself, Krishna. So to start, why don't we just drop in for a moment and kind of land in our bodies and feel into what's the space for receiving that you are able to open into. So this day of July 22nd, 7:22, the beginning of the month of Leo, or the astrological sign of Leo, the radiant solar energy of summer at its apex. Circular nature of energy flowing from the heart outwards like an orb. The heart is the organ of summer in Chinese medicine. So landing in your heart space, might even rub the palms. Take a few deep breaths to draw this energy of life, of radiance, of vitality in. And then bring the palms right at heart center, a few inches apart, feeling the energy flow from palm to palm, breathing into this heart space. So just like Mary Magdalene carrying this jar, this alabaster jar full of precious oil for the ritual of anointing, of christening, which is really almost like we're marking ourselves to be seen. A lot of these teachings are not dependent on if we are worthy or if we are doing enough or if we are proving ourselves. It is very much the downward flow of grace, just making space actively to receive it. So, wherever you're feeling like effort is being put in and there's a sense of exhaustion, I invite you in this space today to lean back, soften into your body as a portal of receiving that downward flowing grace. Breathing it down into the heart, breathing it out into the auric field. Maybe setting an intention to connect with that part of you that is open to receiving nourishment without any force or effort. Does it feel like to be bathed in that energy? To know that you are naturally, inherently deserving of it. Gently bringing the palms together, sealing your intention, pressing the thumbs into the heart. Big inhale and let it go. We'll inhale to tune in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo, bowing to the creative consciousness within, the teacher within, activating that inner knowing as the gateway to relationship with all of these sacred personalities, with your ancestors, with your angels, with your highest self, always living within you. Big inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Big breath in. Suspend the breath for a moment. Exhale. And the Mangalacharn mantra for guidance, protection, the four corners of our space, inner, outer, global, be draped in this blessing. Ad Gure Name, Jugat Gure Name, Sat Gure Name, Siri Gure Devi Name, the primal wisdom, the universal wisdom, the eternal truth that is wisdom, the wisdom of mastery, of the infinite knowing of the self-surrendered. Inhale. Adgure Name, Jugat Gure Name, Sat Gure Name, Siri Guru Deve Name. Adgure Name, Jugat Gure Name, Sat Gure Name, Siri Guru Deve Name. Ad Gure Name, Jugat Gure Name, Sat Gure Name, Siri Guru Deve Name. Okay. So to start, I thought I could give a little bit of context. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene was discovered in 1896 in Egypt. And it's considered part of these sort of like lesser gospels that were not included in the canonical teachings of the Bible. That was decided in Nag Hammadi, or not in Nag Hammadi, in the Nicene Council. So they got together and they were like, okay, Christianity is a thing. We got to determine where our center of power is, what's going to be cool and what's rejected, so that we can dictate the rules of the road. And a lot of the gospels that were considered a little more empowering of the individual, and gnosis, which is obtaining understanding and direct connection from within, were thrown away. This isn't necessarily like part of the Gnostic teachings officially, but the quality of the teachings are of that vein. So yoga is very much in its own way a Gnostic practice. You're conferring with your own divinity and with source internally. And this often bypasses more structures of the church and the priestly lineages, and having to like give over your power to those kinds of institutions. What I love about yogic teachings, and specifically the Bhakti yoga teachings, there's a thread of like a revolutionary air in it. So what I refer and my teaching or my studies in yoga were very much from the Bhakti yoga lineage, which have their own sort of like branches. So quickly to give some ground of that, there was a saint considered an avatar of the divine who appeared in 1594 or 92 in West Bengal, India, and his name was Chaitanya or Tamal. Tamal. He was born under a tamal tree. It's a kind of tree. And he showed incredible mental acuity and reasoning skills, and he would sit with all of the elders and sort of like argue back and forth about spiritual teachings and the nature of reality. And he would constantly sort of like display absolutely wild levels of intelligence. And he also had these like miraculous sort of fulgent moments where people were like, okay, you're actually an embodiment of the divine. And the understanding was that he was here to embody the principle of devotion. So God is the beloved, all the devotion of like spiritual adherence, all the energy of spiritual adherence are directed towards God, right? And God receives devotion. But for God to be complete and perfect and whole and all things, he would also have to be a devotee, not just the beloved, a lover. So Chaitanya is God as the lover. So it combines the masculine and the feminine principles. And he was called Gaur Anga. Gaur means golden, Anga is limbs. And in Hinduism, the divine masculine and feminine, Radha is effulgent and she has a golden aura. As you can see, this is Krishna Radha. Pranamara is like my life and soul. And I love this about Hinduism. It does not exclude the divine feminine. It's still intact in the way that these two elements are necessary for the complete whole picture. And Chaitanya was the embodiment of that. And his whole revolution was, it was very orthodox at the time in India. And all of these teachings were like exclusive for the priestly class. And he took them literally onto the streets and was like, everybody needs access to this. This mantra is for everybody. We're taking this out of the temples, out of the like back rooms, and we're bringing them to every town and village, and would literally walk through the entirety of India with his crew, chanting and dancing and walking through the streets and just like starting a street party, basically, to distribute the holy name, this energy of the masculine and the feminine in the vibration of sound, coming together and moving apart, and coming together and moving apart. And that is sort of the eternal dance that generates this like vortex of love. So that was his energy. And I feel very strongly that, so I refer a lot to Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, this book that is incredible, strongly recommend it. Just like, it's pure nectar. It's like, I'm reading this and it's like, yes, this is 1000% truth. It's a channeled book. So obviously it's like fringe. But this woman claims that Anna, Jesus's grandmother, had been communicating to her psychically for many years, and then finally was like, you need to channel this book and publish this book. And it talks about Anna, her own initiation rites and the meditations that she was going through, and she was hundreds of years old, and how she would preserve her energy because she knew there was a certain lila or a play that was coming for her daughter, for her grandson. And there was like all these characters, this cast of characters assembling at this time in Mount Carmel with the Essenes. And she was part of this like tribe of Jewish worshippers who had a very particular lifestyle, sort of lived off the land in harmony with nature, in deep meditation, with these spiritual principles at the center of their lives. And she describes her own process of internal purification, deep meditations that she would go through, where she was basically like, y'all know the Four of Swords in tarot, where there's like a, a like warrior inside a tomb, and it's like that card represents an internal transformation through silence and rest. And so there were traditions and different initiations that she would do where she just like went into that tomb for seasons so that her body would be at its lowest functioning level to stay alive. And there was different like cloths she would put over herself with herbs and different oils to maintain her body, while her soul would leave and go into like a completely intense transcendental meditative state, union, harmony with source, and then bring all of that down into her body. So her body became a living sort of temple for that frequency of exchange with the divine. It like gives me goosebumps. I mean, I know these things are real in through like Tantra, which is the practice of using the body in service of spirit so you can maintain this like energy in the world. So there's a balance because yoga maya, the illusory energy of the of matter is very strong, right? We've all been there where we get tangled up in a thing and you kind of lose perspective, whether that is like some fantasy we project, whether that is a desire for, fame or beauty or money. There's these six elements of the divine that are present in all of us in different dimensions, but that when we go searching for them without that connection to source, become this like veil of forgetfulness. Intelligence, beauty, fame, wealth, power, and renunciation. So if our ego gets caught up in any of these things, it sort of loses touch. It gets cut off from source. Renunciation. So like if you reject like, oh, yeah, like I'm so pure because I'm not having sex, or I'm so pure because I'm fasting, and that becomes an ego entrapment instead of something that serves your connection. And these are essentially also in like you can look at the seven sins, and sin is simply attaching yourself to that thing to the detriment of your connection to source, right? So much so that this becomes your God. Like beauty and obtaining the highest state of beauty in your opinion or in whatever society dictates becomes your God. And you fall into that.
Like, isn't sin in Latin like away from?
Seen is without also, yeah. Or like you're missing the mark.
Yeah.
You're missing the target. So making these things your God is where that rupture kind of happens, and the soul becomes covered over by yoga maya. Without, yeah. So it's like God's internal potency is said to be yoga maya, which is this forgetful veil of illusion. Material world is sort of made of that. It's the internal potency made manifest into the world. And so we come in these bodies, pure souls, and we're interacting with like nature and the senses, and that is inherently sort of like forgetting. We're forgetting that we are spirit souls. We're identifying with this body, with your face, with your hair, with your family. We become identified with all these accoutrements of the material world. And where I feel like religion gets it wrong for a lot of the part is saying actually those are bad and sinful, where and sinful as in like they are the reason that you're always going to remain in forgetfulness of God. Whereas they're just a part of the nature of God as well. And it's our job to like use them in service, not completely reject them, understand them for what they are, and then use them in service of connection, of reunion of yoga. So in this book, she describes her own process of immaculate conception of Mary. There's different meditations she went into to conceive Mary in a way that she was ready to also conceive Jesus through that process. So it was sort of like this massive energetic shift that was carried on generation over generation. Mary was also initiated in all of these meditations, these teachings, these like processes of becoming a priestess, embodying spiritual knowledge into her vessel, and immaculately conceived Jesus with this intention that this is like a whole thing that's happening for the awakening of consciousness at this time. It said in this book that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were born on the same day, actually. And this was, I think, in April, sometime in April in the calendar, in the springtime. Not December 25th.
What?
Yeah, not in the middle of, dead season. So the birthing of life again in springtime. And I think I have to look back, but I feel like if you ever like read your birth chart, you have a day chart and a night chart, depending on where your sun is in relation to the ascendant and the horizon. If you're born at night, it's a night chart. If you're born in the day, it's a day chart. And I feel that there are two halves of that, right? One was a day chart, one is a night chart. Mary Magdalene is described in this telling that she was sent away from home. Her family is very wealthy. In my mind, I'm seeing a very comfortable, beautiful upbringing where you have everything you need, where you're sort of like the princess of the house, you're taken care of, you're pampered, and then you're sent away to this school to be essentially initiated and into all these teachings. And she confronted all these internal revolutions of discomfort, of being far away from home, of resenting all the people around her. And you can imagine being like 14 years old and like, a teenager feeling all these feelings, not happy with where you are. And I think this is the point at which all these massive entities inside of her were getting purified and like worked out so that she could then continue her studies in a way that was able to hold the massive energy of these processes that she was going through. And this book describes, studying alone and separate from Jesus and then coming together and like slowly building this like relationship, having a crush on each other, like seeing each other, feeling this intense intimacy and energy, and knowing internally like we're meant to do something together. And over the years, it describes him traveling to India to study in Nepal, which is interesting because the oil that she anoints him with, the spikenard, is from Nepal specifically. And so I feel like that was an inside sort of communication, inside, not inside joke, but like, here's this precious thing that you brought back from very far away. And I know how precious and, rare it is where we are now in the Middle East. And it's basically her and a bunch of other people in their community at one point in pyramids holding space for Jesus's transformational ritual and holding it with frequency through sound, through different meditations that they've all been initiated into. So given that understanding, which is not the prostitute, not like there were many characters in the Bible that Pope Gregory conflated her with. There was a few other Marys. And Mary of Bethany, and this other woman who came into the scene and was a prostitute, but was not Mary Magdalene herself. So when they are more mature and begin this like process of going out to do his healing ministry, they're working on people's like malformities, different diseases, psychosis, people who need healing from whatever dimension, and they work together to heal these people. And a lot of times, the miracles are attributed to Jesus, but she's also working internally to heal these people with him. So it's both of them, their whole ministry, healing people. And as you could imagine, they develop an intimate connection. He and she create this energetic field that can only be created in polarity, masculine and feminine, through intimacy that is beyond, just a natural friendship. And I think this is the part where a lot of spiritual teachings deny Jesus was a human. They only want to see that he is the divine child of God, son of God, and he cannot ever be considered as a human. And I think that,
All from us has that.
yeah,
Human
human things that are actually meant to bring us back to God, not away from God. But because of the way they're practiced and because of the consciousness of each individual that come into these practices, in general, that becomes another thing that takes us further away instead of bringing us closer together. So it's really the teachings, the understanding of the energetics behind these things that can either create union or create sin, forgetfulness, separation. And because that was their whole sort of intention, it was creating union and creating this like other energetic field in the world. So her gospels are they're fragmented. They begin at page 7. Pages 1 through 6 are missing. And then it goes through to page 10. Pages 11 to 14 are missing. And then it goes from page 15 to the end, page 19. So it's quite concise. It's quite intense. There's a lot of important stuff missing in them. And it begins. And one of the things, Jesus was a rabbi, and to be in a preaching position in that time, you had to be married. Like that was part, because you would not understand the full context of teachings without having that sort of life experience. So, if you think about the sort of traditions of that time, and he's out preaching in the world, and the tradition is that in order to do that, you're married, and there's this woman by his side everywhere where he, kissed her in a way that he doesn't kiss other people, and teaches her things that she did not teach us. This is the other apostles on page 18. Levi says, the teacher held her worthy. Surely the teacher knew her very well, for he loved her more than us. Right? So there's this understanding that like they have a completely unique relationship. And there's an exchange there that cannot be accessed by anyone else but her. And her place in the whole saga of the crucifixion and the resurrection was firmly fixed there. She did not leave. She was at his feet at the cross. Mary, his mother was there, she was there, and Joseph were there. And then when he went into the tomb, she sat at his tomb for the 3 days. And to me, this communicates that that was like the final like initiation. That was the test of her energy that she's been cultivating with him on her own, her whole life's work to hold space in this portal of like in liminal space. He's neither here nor there. And
Still having a belief that
and having complete faith and having your human mind like completely grieving my beloved, like my partner, my everything was just put through this horrible torture ritual and is not here and will not be here in his body ever again. And like grieving that both from the side of like a human and then also understanding the bigger picture of eternal soul. He cannot be killed. That is the nature of the soul, right? And these are the teachings that exist in yoga of like the soul is eternal. There's three qualities, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And so all these practices, whether they're Kundalini yoga, whether they're from the Egyptian, mystery schools, are to have a sort of communication with that part of yourself on a regular basis so that you can navigate all of this world of forgetfulness anchored in something that is beyond it and also when brought into it can elevate the situation. Um, so I'm just going to read a little bit. Any questions, anything coming up for you guys? I'm going hard. Okay.
yeah, like
Yes, it's too empowering of the individual to know that all the answers are within. And
yeah,
also sometimes if we're not like primed or there's not that initiation process through established lineages of like deep knowledge, you can get lost. You can have like a Kundalini awakening and like spiritual psychosis and lose your grounding. So I think there's a balance and there is some merit to having a container of tradition, of knowledge, of a lineage, of a parampara. And this is spoken about in the Gita and Krishna saying, I spoke this wisdom to Manu, the sun god. He spoke it to this person. And so there's an actual lineage. He's giving the receipts. He's like, I brought this information. It comes from me ultimately, but here's the lineage, and it starts, way back with the sun god, and it's like, okay, I know the sun god. No, like the guru from 1985 who came to America or whatever.
I like it. So it feels so true and believable as a woman. It's like, yeah, of course this is taken up. Of course she was going to prostitute, she did too much. Or like, of course, because we've lived that. And like our mothers have, and it's just
The silencing, the like bad PR if you're not
something that sounds like it's, well, if that was true, we know. It's
right.
like, well, as a woman,
Right.
I know
Right.
how possible it is that this is real.
Yeah.
It's like,
The others could have been jealous.
Absolutely.
100%.
Peter was nasty. Okay, I have like a thing with Peter. I'm like, I don't like you. I don't even know that much about the Bible, but every time he comes up, he's like salty and like nasty and just tries to dig because he wants to be that one, right? He's like
but I feel like
jealous.
we all had a boss or a manager that saw the bright light knowledge, like, when you're like precocious, like you're just like full of energy and absorbing wisdom, and that boss that's a man that's like, put her in her place, put her in her place.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Shut it down.
you're just You're jealous. That's
Yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah.
And how my mind is working right now.
Yeah, and like the energy is intensely creative, intensely powerful. It creates life. Like if someone said if there was like an energy portal somewhere, I don't know if y'all saw this like reel, this guy talking in his car. If there was a portal somewhere that gave babies, like we would be worshiping it. But because it's like a woman and it's just like, your mom, whatever. And so if you really see the balance, and it's not rejecting one in favor of the other, it's bringing the two in harmony. And that's even talked about, I think, in Luke, where it's like, if you want to enter into the kingdom of God, bring these two things into harmony within yourself. I have it pulled up. I would love to read that exact quote because it's so like the lock and key of like, yeah, hello, when the two become one. Um,
Cool. It's never like heard. I grew up Catholic, so it's like I've never
mhm.
heard like these parts of it, but it's really cool. My parents were just here this weekend, gave me like a rosary because I didn't have one. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like I believe all of this. Like it makes sense, like you were saying.
And it's funny how the rosary exists in India too. Is like the main form of personal prayer is on the mala beads, and each mala there's 108 beads, and then there's a top bead, and with each bead you recite one mantra, one prayer, and then you move to the next one, and the rosary is exactly like that. And in India you have incense, and here we have frankincense. And how so many of the rituals are exactly the same, just like a tiny bit different. Um, and there's something to that, right? It's like these are places for us to find that connection ourselves. And you have it with your personal practice, you have it through your community, you have it through reading sacred literature. So there's all these different touch points to create a sort of like checks and balances.
Those are like the three tenets of AA too. You just said is like the three tenets of a 12-step program, like your connection to a power greater than yourself, your connection to the literature, you need to do that, your connection to your community, your connection to service.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
All these ancient principles exist in so
For
many
sure.
practices.
Yeah, and it's like that gives us a good grounding, I feel like, right? Um, so just to touch a little bit on her gospel, this is the beginning on page 7. What is matter? Will it last forever? The teacher answered, all that is born, all that is created, all the elements of nature, all are interwoven and united with each other. All that is composed shall be decomposed. Everything returns to its roots. Matter returns to the origins of matter. Those who have ears, let them hear. So this is like absolutely in the Bhagavad Gita in different language of the soul is eternal and cannot be killed, but matter and the creation is temporary and has this sort of like expiration date. Um, so I'm reading through the Gita chapter 3 here. So all these activities are meant to be done in relationship to source so that the karmic implication of their impermanence is subsumed, absorbed by source, and ultimately feeds our spiritual bank account. So, for example,
Sorry.
when I make food, do I make it only thinking about myself or do I make it with the intention of offering this up to the source of all of the creation of this food, right? Like sunlight, rain, God in the seed, in the grain that all of a sudden grows out of the dirt and feeds people.
Like, you know, they're, no, it's not.
I have not, so maybe it's different.
Um,
Are you feeling the power of
So-
the frequency of? So, um, then he said, Peter said to him, since you have become the interpreter of the elements and the events of the world, tell us, what is the sin of the world? The teacher answered to Jesus, there is no sin. It is you who make sin exist. When you act according to the habits of your corrupted nature, this is where sin lies. So corrupted nature is like matter is corruptible, right? It degrades. It's just naturally, that's in the code of matter. But then you have these like, I think in Catholicism, there are these bodies that are incorruptible or incorrupted. These like sacred like saints whose bodies are still, they've left their bodies, but the bodies are still there because they've completely like become spiritualized matter. So it's not corruptible. It does not degrade. Same thing in India. They don't, certain teachers, they will not, what's it called when you burn the body? They do not cremate them because their bodies remain intact because they've spiritualized their physical vessel to the degree that it doesn't degrade. This is why the good has come into your midst. It acts together with the elements of your nature so as to reunite it with its roots. So this is basically describing meditation, spiritual initiation, spiritual activities. The good is in your midst, and now it's acting with your nature, that like the part of me that is fallible and human, and then it reunites it with the source, the root. Like, what is the root of all of life? Source, soul. So the way the Vedas describe the soul, and I always hear this distinction in like New Age of like, you are God, you're God. And it's like, I'm not all powerful, all knowing. I'll go out into the desert for a week with no food and water and naked, and I will die. I'm not God. God, like, I don't have dominance over these things, but I have qualities of God. So like a very often used metaphor is that it's like the gold mine and a gold ring, right? The gold ring is not the gold mine, but it has the same qualities of the gold mine. So we have these like this potential essentially, and that through our practices is what's cultivated in order to eventually come back to the root. And we look for the root in so many other ways. The God-shaped hole that I'm like, gonna fill it with dating and sex and shopping and drugs and all the things. Yeah, getting high and like feeling united and then crashing down and being like, what? I just like wasted 15 years of my life or whatever. So this is why you become sick and why you die. It is the result of your actions. What you do takes you further away. Those who have ears, let them hear. Attachment to matter gives rise to passion against nature. Thus, trouble arises in the whole body. This is why I tell you, be in harmony. If you're out of balance, take inspiration from manifestations of your true nature. Yeah, take inspiration from manifestations of your true nature.
Yeah.
So broad and specific at the same time. And like, what does that really mean?
therapy, it's when you don't know what to do, return to play because he was a child new. Or that's what he's talking about. So like when you're not so cognitive, but you're having fun, what lights you up? Okay, follow that. So it sounds like to me.
Yeah. I also say for manifestations of your true nature, I think we each in our human design, and you could go down so many different paths of like understanding your unique code. There's different ways that, and some people are psychic, right? They like hear things or feel or have these extrasensory qualities, um, or have a natural sort of service or purpose in the world. And whatever that true manifestation of your essence is, like you said, getting back to that, take inspiration. So they also describe later on the sort of almost like the chakras in a sense. So I'll do this quick. Peter said to Mary's sister, "We know that the teacher loved you differently from other women. Tell us whatever you remember of any words he told you, which we have not yet heard." Mary said to them, "I will now speak to you of that which has not been given to you to hear. I had a vision of the teacher, and I said to him, 'Lord, I see you now in this vision.' And he answered, 'You are blessed, for the sight of me does not disturb you. There where is the nous lies the treasure.'" The nous is considered like the collective consciousness that is cosmic, that you can tap into through meditation, through silence, through this like deep internal connection, and where you understand like everything that can be dropped into you. And I see this also as the arc line being like in Kundalini, the sixth body, which dictates your ability to receive and send messages throughout space and time. Where the aura, you can feel energy in the space you're in, and the arc line is like long distance quantum. So there where the nous is lies the treasure. Then I said to him, "Lord, when someone meets you in a moment of vision, is it through the soul, the psyche, and then in parentheses, psyche, that they see, or is it through the spirit, the pneuma?" The teacher answered, "It is neither through the soul nor the spirit, but the nous between the two, which sees the vision. And it is this which," pages 11 to 14 are missing. So I liked this and I posted this today. It is in the miraculous yet lawful mediating contact between the higher and the lower within ourselves that the deeper, intimate experience of conscious love is given. A conscious love for our starved and confused self that is at the same time love for our neighbor whose inner condition of metaphysical poverty is identical to our own. To me, that feels very similar to the the spirit, the knowing between the two is where the vision comes, and which comes back to it's in relationship. It's in the exchange that the full truth can be obtained. And then eventually embodying that relationship in the heart and balancing. And I see that in like a practical way of like um, kind of reconciling whatever broken energy exists in each of us in relation to our personal mothers and fathers and in their relationship, right? And like whatever mommy issues I've got, whatever daddy issues I've got is ultimately with the bigger mother and father, the eternal mother and father. There's this story in the Bhagavatam, which is seen as like is one of the Puranas of Vedic literature. It's like all the Vedas, the four major Vedas are compiled. And then it's like, okay, I've done everything I need to do. All the knowledge is consolidated. And then there was still, he went into this meditation, Vyas, who is the compiler of the Vedas, and there was something was like something's missing. And he condensed all of the knowledge, the most important stuff into the Bhagavatam. It's like the cream of the Vedas, like the most essential essence, stories of the divine, of kings and queens. And in one of the stories, this king has, he wants a son really badly, and he and his queen keep trying and trying, and then finally he goes to this like sage, and the sage is like, okay, I can grant you a son, but he will die at like 6 years old. And he's like, okay, but maybe I can like change that. So he's like, fine, whatever. Has the child dies, and then he's like heartbroken. He calls the sage, he's like, please bring him back, bring him back. Like, I can't live without my precious son. And then the son comes back and he's like, do you remember? It's me. And he's like, who? Which father? I've had so many fathers. Like, which father are you? So it's like reconciling the fact that there's like temporary mother and father and then eternal mother and father, and being able to really bring these two into harmony in our hearts. And like, to me, that's like super ego unlocked, the authoritative aspect of our mind that we embody and like absorb from what we witnessed as a child, of like, okay, I have to be good, and mom said to be good you have to do this. So now when I'm like 30, I'm like, okay, I have to be good. And it's like there's this thing running, this program running. So that's sort of like the essence of this psyche and spirit and where they meet. And then so pages 11, 14 are missing, and then it begins back on page 15. And she's kind of going through all these like climates, emotional states that come and go, um, craving. And then craving is speaking, and it's saying, I did not see you descend. Now I see you rising. Why do you lie? You belong to me. The soul answered, I saw you, though you did not see me, right? Craving doesn't see the soul. It sees like the object that it wants to possess. And eventually the soul like moves beyond that. Um, you did not see me nor recognize me. I was with you as with a garment, and you never felt me. Right. So it's like our bodies, senses crave these things, and we believe them to be the end all and be all of our existence, but they're just like a garment. And they also at the same time clothe us, but cover over that essence. Um, so the soul, having said this, the soul left rejoicing greatly. Then it entered into the third climate known as ignorance. So in a way, I see this going through the chakras, right? Craving is of the second chakra, I guess, since it starts there, which is like the emotional body, the desire, the sexual craving. And then it goes into the third climate, ignorance. Ignorance, if you would see it as the solar plexus is like my ego, mine. This is my identity. This is what I do. I make shit happen. And when you're like investing in yourself as God, the creator of everything, you become ignorant that actually God, the real God, is the doer. You're not the doer.
Yeah.
So ignorance inquired of the soul, where are you going? You are dominated by wicked inclinations. Indeed, you lack discrimination and you are enslaved. The soul answered, why do you judge me, since I have made no judgment? I have been dominated, but I myself have not dominated. I have not been recognized, but I myself have recognized that all things which are composed shall be decomposed on earth and in heaven. So then it continued to the fourth climate. The first manifestation is in darkness, the second craving, third ignorance, the fourth lethal jealousy, right? A jealous heart, like that's my lover. Like you can't talk to anyone else. And that makes you sometimes go crazy, kill people, kill for love. Fifth, enslavement to the body. Sixth, intoxicated wisdom. Seventh, guileful wisdom. 7 manifestations of wrath. So it continues, and we're going to do, okay, since we're running on time, you guys okay to stay a little longer? We'll do a meditation, Laya Yoga. Have you done this one before, this chanting? Okay. So it's a really awesome mantra meditation. There's a few things going on. There's the mantra, Ek Onkar Satnama Siriwa Hey Guru. And as you chant, you're moving your awareness from the root chakra to the second chakra, to the third, to the heart, to the throat, to the third eye, to the crown, in a 3.5 is the exact amount spiral pattern. So first spiral, second spiral, third spiral, and then the half is like a little tail that
Hey, Guru.
that what's Hey Guru,
Yeah.
that just like flies out of your crown into the beyond, the 8th chakra, the aura, the cosmic shared space, etheric space. So you want to imagine it spiraling in a counterclockwise direction. So to the left and up through each chakra. And each time you chant in between, almost like you're going from Ek Ong Kar. So Ek means one in Sanskrit and Hindi, I guess. The base of the spine, the one, the place you begin, the root chakra. Ong is your lower belly, your second chakra, sacral. Ong is a creative energy. So sacral chakra is creative energy. Kar is the root word of karma or action or doing. So that's going to be at the third chakra, solar plexus, the root of like your positive action. So after that, there's an and you pull the belly button up and in. So this is sort of like a division of, okay, we got our first 3 levels, the lower triangle, satana, or sat, nama, So then we're in this like in between. The heart is a bridge for the lower chakras of action and the material world, the sort of like feminine energy of matter in the sort of division of Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti is the feminine, it's matter, it's the material manifestation, and Purusha is the unmanifest, the potential, the divine that is like in the essence of all things, but not yet like seen. You can't see it with the eyes. So Satta Nama, throat chakra. Nam is your name, the sort of identity through your speaking of this vibration. And then Siri Waheguru. So we're working with the vision, the mastery of the infinite through the third eye, becoming unifying the 2 eyes into one. And then Wahe to like celebrate Guru, the cosmic knowledge. So we're moving counterclockwise up and we're chanting.
Start like
Yeah. Whenever I do mantra, I've seen it everywhere. When you're chanting, you kind of tend to like the body starts to have this like be filled with that frequency of
it happens when I'm doing hypnosis and stuff like sitting suspension. I start going like this and so
wow. Wow.
yeah. Well, it's like I'm gonna even stop myself because I'm
And then we'll play a song, a soundtrack. And so this practice is meant to bring the soul and destiny present so that you can connect with that and use it to serve your purpose in the world. So, mhm. So it suspends you above conflicts that are attracted by success and the activity of the positive mind. So the positive mind is very generative. It's like manifesting, it's creating, it's doing all these things. And if we're like working through that, it can create like ripple effects, right? So many different things happen, or karmic waves. And this is a means of like, okay, let your activity now serve your purpose, your soul, right? That is where karma gets actually interrupted. So if you want to do things that are karma free, do them from the soul in service of the Most High. And that is seen to be the way that things are spotless or sinless and don't induce karma, right? So if I'm like, I don't know, I'm just got in my mind going out for an audition, like I want to like get this audition, and it's like so that I can like become famous and then have an amazing boyfriend and buy a mansion and then have like an amazing life and go on vacation on a yacht, right? And your mind just like runs with it. I'm not an actress. I just like imagine that this is a thing, right? It's like a train of thought people would have. But then you're like, I want to embody this role so that I can bring inspiration into the hearts of people and like really connect them with their own true essence and bring light into the world. And that's like the end of your desire. And yeah, maybe you have other desires in your heart, but like the reason for that audition, getting that role is so you can like, right? That creates a completely different energetic ripple. So yeah, where is there like a break in the relational exchange, and where is there like an opening towards that to like nourish the deepest part of ourselves that are really like just running for anything and everything to like feed on it. So we're feeding on, nourishing on this essence, the higher consciousness, the energy of your essence without distractions, attachments, taking control of your like consciousness. There's a whole book of Laya Yoga, and this mantra is like a gem within that. So let's do it. And just kind of listening to your own voice. So anytime you're doing mantra meditation, try to hear your voice in your ear, and that's going to activate the mantra for you.
Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara
Navel up and in.
Satanama
Up and in.
Siriwa
Up and in. Hey Guru
Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Satanama Siriwa Hey Guru Ikankara Hey Guru Ekangkara Satanama Siriwa 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 Hey Guru Ekangkara Satanama Siriwa, Hey Guru Ek Onkar, Satnama, 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 Siriwa, Hey Guru.
Staying in that spiral that's continuing to move through your body. A spiral that creates the pathway for life force to connect all the parts of us and link it to source, bring it back down into the body. Where we feel that craving to attach to that which is impermanent and externally sourced. Maybe we just come internally and start to feel into the walls of our vessel to gently reinforce those walls in a way of preparing to receive that which connects us to our roots, the core of our essence, that which does not break down. Close our practice. Bring a little bit of heat into your hands. And gently cupping hands over the eyes. May my sight be blessed to see that which only the heart can see, that which unifying my human and divine essence can bring forth. May I use this body, this mind, the senses, and the matter that I have access to in service of self, soul, source, and the relationships that are found within that. It's back to heart center to close with the mantra Satnam. True eternal self is my identity. Big inhale. Peace to all, love to all, light to all. Thank you.
Can you explain what feast day means? Feast night? Because I know that's today.
Yeah, I guess it's like just a celebration of that person, of their energy. I know within the Bhakti yoga tradition, I know, okay, my family's Orthodox Christian, and there's like your name day, which is equally important as your birthday. And I think these spirits, right? They're like all these spiritual saintly people who have brought down a certain energy into the world through their work, through their dharma, and have transmuted whatever their energy, their essence, their purpose is to transmute. And that feast day is almost like a portal into that. So it's like, here's your chance to honor, celebrate, dig deeper, read about them, study them, meditate with them, with that energy, and bring it into the world on this day in a way that keeps it like alive in our own selves and kind of touches on all the different parts of our own spiritual unfolding. So feast day is a means of like celebration, and usually that is breaking bread, coming together. However we celebrate, there's always like food is the central element to it.
Feast tonight, Charlie.
Yeah. And like one of the beautiful things of the Bhakti Yoga path is offering your food before you eat it, which is almost like communion, the
Yeah.
body, blessed food, blessed water. And we can and are, recommended to do that with everything we eat, of taking like a moment before you eat it and enjoy yourself to offer it back to source and bless it in a way through that offering it back. It's like, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but like a child that goes into the mother's garden, picks the flower that the mother grew and brings it to the mother is like, oh my God, that is the sweetest thing. I love you. Like, it's sort of like that. Like this world was created by a source or, all these different entities that deal with matter, and it's not really a big deal. But for us to consider sharing what we have is like, it's actually that's like the intimacy that creates a deep bond. And there's this one teaching in Bhakti of like, yeah, everyone is God's child and God loves everyone equally, but God really loves a person that makes an effort to connect to God and like goes out of their way to really, um, yeah, have that intimate remembering. Um, I'm thinking about uh, this once, I think Krishna says, like, if someone who loves me, if they like bring me into their heart so much so that they're in my heart, then I'm like their slave. Like I become overwhelmed to the point that like they can do whatever they want with me. So it's almost like God becomes subservient to the person that loves God because that love is so overwhelming. Um, which I don't believe I'm achieving that level, but like, for Radha, Radha loves Krishna so much, the divine feminine expresses love for the divine masculine so much that he becomes her servant, where it's like, no, you're a servant of God. And it's like, no, you love God so much, now God is your servant and you can command God. But yeah,
Cool.
goals.
Well, I love the analogy about the kid getting the flower. That like sort of neat.
It's like, it's really so simple. And I love the practice of archana or like offering at the altar because there's different elements that represent the five elements. There's a thing of water, there's a lamp, so fire, a little ghee lamp with a wick. There's incense for like the earth and scent. There's a little handkerchief that they wave for like air. And then there's a flower. Um, and it's like just offering water, flower, food is like powerful way of starting that sort of like practical way of creating that connection and spiritualizing matter. Um,
Like, that is practicing gratitude as well.
totally.
Like
Yeah.
the things that we,
Mhm.
I'll never forget this moment I had in my first apartment. And like gotten out of treatment with a couple years sober, like first apartment that's just me and my dog at the time. I'll never forget this moment. And I was like, this is my time. In one hour, I'm making spaghetti. I just said that, like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. I'm like, thank you for all of this, wherever it came from. And that's like this tangible memory that's really palpable and like ingrained in me of this, of that feeling.
Yeah. I feel like that's the embodied soul, right? That's like that meeting of the ineffable and the real, and that sticks. That really sticks.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Mm.
What do you want? Oh, sorry.
I don't know if it's like by design with that meditation, but I noticed there were some, I was like in the state, you know, but there were things that like usually might cause me to actually spiral. That were like freaking in because they're like relevant or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just in a space, but it actually like it spiraled out of me.
Hell yeah.
Which is like
Heavens, yes.
So you would spiral, but not.
I chose the other spiral.
The counterclockwise spiral.
Counterclockwise spiral.
Whoa.
To the left, which is the feminine side.
Yeah.
The left,
Mhm.
my tip was like really specifically this head.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Is that why you put your legs out because of it? Yeah, I caught this moment where I was like,
Yeah, it's my left hip.
whoa.
Crazy.
Wild.
If you want more knowledge and wisdom injected in you from Alex, she's hosting treatment workouts in October.
Yeah.
She's taking to the same sides of grants.
And what's up?
It's all
Excited.
good. This with
Wow, that's major.
Yeah. God, bring the right people.
yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Um,
If you go to within, I think